At the end of
It's
the
at the
day,
end of the day, you're you, and people are
yeah,
going to attract to how you are. And fake stuff. I mean, not saying anybody
this
is
is
being
who you're
fake.
gonna work
This is
with if you
who, yeah,
decide to call me.
yeah. And the people that I work with end up like I get to be me,
Exactly.
and we're always us, right?
Yeah,
But are we doing? We going?
we can go.
We're always us.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just I don't know. I like to be comfortable at all
Yes.
times. I want to feel that and I'm respectful. I'm professional, all those
Yeah.
things. But at the same time, you're getting an authentic person, and
Absolutely.
people know that. And I was
Yeah.
told that when I first started doing this stuff that they will know they'll know if you're trying to get something done because you need to get paid. Like they'll feel that energy. And I
Yes.
just give off what I like to believe is authentic energy.
Yeah. Welcome to episode 7 of Black Voices in Real Estate. Today, I am so honored to have Brian Scaggs here with me. Brian hails from California, but also from Detroit, Michigan. He has so much experience in the investment space. And as you know, here at Black Voices in Real Estate, I don't only like to talk about the challenges that we have sometimes as Black professionals in the real estate space, I like to talk about the wins. So, Brian and I are going to discuss both, and we're just going to be real today and just open up the discussion about our experiences when it comes to our voices here in the real estate space. Thanks for coming, Brian. Welcome to the show.
Absolutely, Myiesha. Thanks for having me. Hey, California, what up, though, Detroit?
So let's start with that. What is your experience with Detroit real estate versus California real estate? I know it's extremely different. I talked to Melanie Little and we did a lot of discussion about the difference between her experience with Chicago real estate versus California, which I'm a California native, so I had no clue of the challenges that sometimes non-California natives have. So let's
Oh yeah.
talk about it.
Oh yeah, it's a huge challenge. I mean, so you got price points. Let's just start there first, right? So Detroit or Michigan as a whole, Midwest for that matter, price points are different. It's way easier to get somebody to sign off on $200,000-$300,000 than it is out here to sign off on $1 million,
$1 million,
right?
right?
So that is a challenge in itself. Then you add into the fact of like like I said, I'm from Detroit. I don't know the numbers as far as black population versus other populations, but it's up there, like 80 something percent, I think.
Yeah.
And that's where I grew up. So when I moved to California, it was a huge, hey,
Culture shock.
yeah, it was like, whoa, so this really does happen for real. And
What happens for real?
well, just the racism stuff.
Okay.
I mean, look, can I prove it? Probably not. Is there people that I'm thinking about? Are they gonna say, yeah, that's what we were doing? No.
No.
But I mean, you feel it.
Yeah.
You have those situations like I was in, and I hit it off with somebody over the phone on an internet lead, and I'm setting up the meeting or the walkthrough. I send a card. I always send a picture of me before I come because I need people to know.
To know who they're
I
meeting.
need you to know
Yeah.
what's up because I don't want to get there to be a problem because I don't know how I'm gonna handle that.
Right.
So I sent a picture, and the conversation prior to was, the dad was going into hospice and they had to sell this house. They just had to do something. It needed to be done like ASAP.
ASAP. Okay.
20-minute conversation. Everything is going good. I send the photo or my card, and then I get a text back. You know what? We're gonna go a different direction.
It happens.
What are you gonna do?
I remember being new in this business and having some of the more seasoned agents who are Black tell me, don't put your picture on your business card. And I was like, why? And they're like, because sometimes people will, be less likely to call you back if you leave your business card. If you write an offer and they see that you had left a business card at that property, they may be less likely to accept your client's offer. And for me, I was like, well, my name is Myiesha. So they're going to know that this is not a white girl. They're going to know 99% of the time this is a Black woman. Yeah. So either you take it or you leave it. So I chose to go ahead and go with my picture because if you want to work with me, you want to work with me. If you don't, you don't. Like I don't want to deal with people who don't want to work with a Black person. Yeah. I'd rather ahead of time. And I know when I know my husband's family because my husband's name is Matthew. Mm-hmm. We named my son Mason because my husband's family had this idea of ethnic names are going to not take you as far in life. And so people will be more willing to talk to you, to give you an interview, to, offer you an opportunity when you don't have the ethnic name.
And that is kind of the that's how things are done at now. Not everybody, obviously, but my family, like I'm Brian Scaggs,
Right.
right? I get in through the door on the phone just off of that
Because
and
of
my
that.
voice.
Absolutely.
So I'm in the door, and that was purposely done. I mean, these are conversations that I had with my parents later on. My
Yeah.
sister and myself, we were named these certain names, and they told us
For
what the
that
names
reason.
were for these reasons.
Yeah. And my
So
parents were like, pro like black at the time. And then later as we grew up, they started getting more like, befriend, be more, willing to befriend the white kids, be more friendly with these kids because, you will have more opportunities. And it was kind of funny because I was just like, well, you guys named us Tasha and Myiesha.
those are, but those are the differences, like you were asking about California or Michigan and California. And California, well,
California is very hidden racism because I grew up here. So you think everybody is your friend. You go to school with these kids, you grew up with these families. We played softball. We did all these different things out here in California. So for us, we thought these people are cool. They're our friends. And then you get a little older and you realize the separation that starts to happen. And then the conversations, of course, as you get older and you mature, sometimes you think back on previous conversations and you're like, oh.
I can remember back as far as the 5th grade and where we grew up. I mean, it was black and white at that time. And I can honestly say that I don't remember the difference till somewhere around the 5th grade. It never came up. It was never taught.
And I see that with my son now.
And that was overall, like, I really believe
he starts to see the difference now in 5th grade. And I'm like, before that, I was like asking him questions and he was like, no. Now he's starting to see it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everything starts in the household, but I really believe that the black community, at least where I'm from, that wasn't necessarily taught. You just get to see it over time.
Yeah.
It just took me 39 years when I moved to California to say, oh, this really is a thing. Because it never was something I really had to deal with, coming up. So,
I mean, I don't know that world. I wish I did sometimes. Sometimes I wish that I knew like a world. My husband has a lot of family who's in Detroit, Michigan. So, and I've never been. Like I have a few family members out there, but not people who are close to us. So I don't like know them.
I mean, not that there's anything wrong with diverse situations.
Absolutely not. You got to learn from it.
But you go there and then you're in a place where everybody is 100%. I mean, because we run the city,
right?
It's city council. We run like everything. Everything is just all black. And didn't realize what I was walking away from when I left. I just was getting away from the cold, to be honest with you.
Yeah. You're like, this California weather is great.
It is.
So when you were in Detroit, you said you did a lot of property management and REO stuff. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's how I got started. I started off in the property management world, and during the time, it was REOs was a big deal. That's when the market was crashing or whatever was going on in the housing market, and I was working with the banks. I was working with just about all of them across the country, and REOs were plentiful.
Yeah,
and that's when I was in so the homes will be assigned to a real estate agent. And I was in contact with that real estate agent and I was a contractor.
Okay.
And I was getting the work done as far as whatever was on that work order so that agent could market the home.
So they can market the home,
or put the home on the market, should I say. So years of doing that, when the opportunity came to move to California, I'm like, I'm going to get my license.
Yeah.
Number one was I didn't want to deal with contractors. I didn't want to have to put crews back together because that's a whole nother conversation about dealing with crews and their problems become your problems. If I get my license in California, number one, the price point is crazy. Right. So that's a raise in itself.
Yeah.
And I don't have to deal with contractors. So I either make or break myself is how I looked at it. But yeah, that's where everything started. It was property management and working with agents. And that's how I kind of learned the real estate world.
Yeah.
To bring it out to California.
And I tell people that my start came from working for the banks, talking to people like you, negotiating with those agents and assigning those homes to agents so we can get that home in what we used to call broom swept condition.
Broom swept condition.
So we
Yep.
can get the house sold
Broom swept condition. Yep.
and get it off our books, because we would tell people we are not in the business of real estate. We're in the business of making money.
Yeah.
So when you can't pay your bills and we have to basically repossess the property, take it back, this is not a position that we as banks, that the banks wanted to be in.
Yeah.
So
do you remember, did you ever like come across, I know you're asking the questions, but remember, did you ever have to talk about key codes?
we didn't.
Certain, so
No.
okay, so there was like 4 or 5 different key codes that all the bank homes were assigned to. And I'm sitting
Oh,
there thinking
okay.
about them, the 76667, the
Uh-huh.
354, like all these different key codes. That's just, it's bringing back memories. Fun times. Had the
No, I
whole family
mean,
was on payroll, like everything was great. So
our
it was
biggest
really fun
thing
time.
was we need their house cleaned out as soon as possible so we can, are there renters there? Do they have a lease? What's going on? We need these people out as soon as possible so we can get this home on the market and get it sold.
Yeah, that was
Because
my job. I was the one
our,
getting the house
yeah,
cleaned out.
our goal was to get them to sell it via short sale
Mm-hmm.
instead of taking it back
Right.
in the foreclosure. So,
Yep.
you know, and it just was what it was.
It just was what it was.
Yeah, it was a time. So I wanted to ask you, because I ask everybody this question, because I think it is so important. Who's this calling me? Okay. So I don't necessarily ask everybody this question, but I do touch on this a lot. The Black home ownership rate in the United States is almost at 46%. It is 45.9%. And that's as of 2023. And our white counterparts are at 73.5%. And, I've gotten people who jump in my comments and they always want to make a comment about this. Black people need to do what they need to do for themselves. They need to stop blaming it on us. And given these statistics is not a blame game. It's more of, it is what it is. The statistics don't lie. The numbers don't lie. So when they don't lie, we're talking about it. We're talking about, why are we here and why are you there? My theory has always been, and I still think it's still there, we think about when our families were actually able to participate in credit and purchasing homes and, having the American dream. We had soldiers who fought in the World War I, World War II, all these different wars, the Korean War, all this stuff. They come back and they didn't get the benefit of the VA home loans or the GI bills. You have white families who came over here from other countries and received homestead. And they just basically got free land, and that built wealth in their family. There's so many different things that they got that we did not. And I know, like, I was listening to something with John Hope Bryan I was telling you about, and he was talking about, slavery was about money. It was about capitalism. They went and they trafficked Africans and brought them here because they knew how to work the land. They knew that they knew how to grow things. They knew what they could do with these people to continue to capitalize and make money for this country. And of course, they broke our people down to not have enough confidence in themselves. And it took 400 years for our people to get up out of that. But even out of that 400 years, we still went through Jim Crow. We went through civil rights. We went through all of that stuff. So all of that contributes to this number, in my opinion. What's your opinion?
I share the opinion. I think everything is it is generational. I think the at least the thought process, the mindset, both sides, the slave owners and the slaves. Like it all starts there, and it just keeps going from generation to generation to generation. Now, as far as home ownership, we were just able to do that.
Yeah.
We're just able to do
Like
that.
our grandparents were probably the first groups of Black people who were able to purchase homes. And when they were able to purchase, it was redlined.
Right. So, I mean, and I can have these conversations with my father, who is not, and it's not old like that. Oh, let me tell you back in my, I mean, he can, like, this is vivid conversations about what he
Absolutely.
remembers when he was a kid, which, I mean, it was a long time ago, but wasn't. All right. This is not,
It was not that
something
long
that
ago.
I'm going to look in a book and trying to feel like it We couldn't do it.
we have a lot people who are alive telling us their experience. Our parents, some of our grandparents who are still here. Like we're hearing these stories.
Yeah. So I
It's
think
not.
it's generational,
Yeah.
and it started from there, and it's a mindset. Now, luckily, I come from a family of home ownership, so
Mhm.
I get it. It never, it just wasn't, it just wasn't a big deal to me. Like I purchased 7 homes,
Nice.
in my life so far,
Mhm.
and when I was doing it the first time I did it, it wasn't anything scary. Just like, oh yeah, let's do it.
Right.
Like this makes sense,
Yeah.
and I just did it. Now, for those who renting and things of that nature, I mean, I don't know. If you look at it, their parents probably did the same thing. So it's just
Mhm.
something that's taught. Like it's
Yeah.
just like everything else. You just see. I always say, and I think a lot of people would agree, being a parent is like one of the most hypocritical things there is.
You said being a parent?
Yeah, being a parent,
Yeah,
super
okay.
hypocritical because you
Tell
tell.
me about that.
Well, I mean, I'm telling my kid to do everything, not to do everything that I
That they
did.
see me doing
Yeah,
sometimes. Yeah.
or that I did. Like, I get it. You can't do that. Um, and then some things I would just let go. My kids are adults now, but going back to the home ownership, I think that's where that's the analogy or the comparison I'm going to make is that we grow up and we do what we saw our parents doing.
Absolutely.
And they were renting, they were going from house to house, they was doing this, that, and the other. So
Mhm.
okay, that's the move to make.
Mhm.
And then it never was taught. So we as a community think that we need 200 gazillion dollars to put down on the house.
Mhm.
When it's not the case.
And 20% down
I've
and
asked so
all the
many,
different things.
yeah,
800 credit
yeah,
scores
all that.
like
All that. And I've asked, certain family members, like, you ready to get, do the house by oh, I'm not ready yet. But
mhm.
then, then they go drop down a deposit on the rent
Yeah.
to rent a house. I'm like,
That same money you just dropped could have been your down payment.
but then there's another thing that I've found too, talking to people, is that we also were taught, at least I was, yeah, you buy a house and you keep it forever.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. What if I don't want to stay there anymore? Sell it.
Yeah.
Sell it.
Yeah.
So it's just, we just don't know.
Yeah.
So I really, in being out here, and I don't get the chance to work with black people often, but when I do, I'm laying it out. Like,
Yeah.
this is the blueprint. This is how it works. This
Yeah.
is what you can do. I'm giving them everything, and I'm giving everybody. It doesn't black or white. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But it's just a certain, like, cousin.
Yeah, so it's just a certain feeling when you see us and we want to educate us and make sure that we understand. Like that's a big thing that I do when I work with a lot of my like most of my clientele is black. I do work with
Most of mine is
everybody,
too.
but
Yeah.
most of my clientele
Yeah.
here is black
Mhm.
in California. And the biggest thing that I try and impress upon some of them, and I know there's so much going on during the transaction, but I start talking to them, especially if they're buying a home, about putting their home in a trust
Mhm.
because I deal with so many probates.
Yeah.
I'm like, I close a few probates a year probably. And sometimes it's families arguing. Sometimes we
Sometimes.
can't even get through the process because this one doesn't agree, that one doesn't agree. The court gets involved even more so than they should have. It's ridiculous. So,
Every probate that I've dealt with, and just like you, most of my clientele is black. So
mhm,
dealing with those probate situations. Okay, so let's just say there's 4 siblings. Three
yeah,
of them love each other. The other one is
there's
trying to
always
sue
one.
everybody, and they
Yep.
hate. I mean, they hate each other. And
Have
I'm always like, so was y'all cool as kids? And they usually be like, yeah, but then something, the parents pass and somebody goes crazy.
Yeah, I used to have an uncle who said all the time, and it's so true. He used to say, when there's money involved, he was like, people change.
Hmm.
He was like, anytime there's money involved. I was so thankful with my husband and his siblings when his father passed away in 2023
Hmm.
that they entrusted basically my husband and myself to basically go through the probate process because my in-laws would not do a trust. There's so many black people who won't do them because they feel like you're waiting for me to die or like I don't want to have to make those decisions because they're hard decisions to make, to sit there and actually say, if and when I die, these are the things that I want. to try and explain to them, this is your last will and testament. This is your last time to be in control.
Yeah.
So be in control in this document. But so many of them look at it negatively, and that's because we just weren't taught.
We weren't taught
about
and
what.
They think the will is that will don't hold up.
No, you need an actual trust.
That will can get contested.
Yeah.
And
trust can be, I just recently found out a trust can be contested. Yeah. I have a client who's going through that. So have a whole full-fledged trust, and somebody went and did some illegal document and attached it to it. And now the whole thing is contested. Now we got to go to court. Yep. Now we got to go to court. But it's always somebody who got a wild hair up there, you know what, and they can't handle, it's like, I'm pissed. I expected to be left this, and that, and I wasn't. So now I'm gonna make it hell for everybody.
And so I don't know what word I want to use, but honored, maybe that's a good one. To put my grandmother's home in a trust just recently, like within the past 30 days.
Nice.
Right? Grandma was 96. Still moving around. Everything's there.
Right.
And I was telling my aunt, because my aunt's living with her.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, we need to do this. I think there's going to be some problems when the inevitable happens.
Yeah.
You guys might want to do this. Said a couple stories. There was no pushback. Got on it right then.
Nice.
And it was done. And now it's done now. So,
Yeah.
And I think that if we had a mindset, I'm just speaking on my family. If we had a mindset of not, didn't know anything about home ownership and those type of things, it just kind of would have went over their head. We would have had the problems, and now y'all in and out of court paying money, and
yeah.
And now I'm like, I told you so.
Yeah.
So, and I don't have to do that. And
no.
And
here in California, it takes 2 years, literally 2 years from start to finish.
What, to put something in trust?
No. Probate.
To go to probate.
Yeah. Other states are a little quicker, but California is a long process. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got that done for your grandmother. Okay.
Oh, really, for me, because that's going to be my house.
So, given the recent surge in California's housing inventory by 44% in February compared to the previous year, and the market shift that we're seeing, how are you advising your clients and even the investors that you work with to navigate these changes?
Business as usual. Like, you still got to buy. Okay, I'll give an example. The people that want to wait on interest rates to go down, and this is going to happen, like, it's not happening. And if they go down, if they do go down, well, they're going to go down. I believe they're going to go down. But you waiting on this 2%, 3%, like, I just don't see it.
I don't know that they'll go that low.
I don't know if they'll go that low.
But if they do.
But when they do.
What's going to happen to the prices?
Well, everybody and their mama's going to be out there trying to buy the house. Now there's a line out there to get the bag of candy.
Exactly.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So now we got to raise the price up.
Yep.
Because it's one bag.
Yep.
And the seller was like, oh, $2. Oh, okay, we'll get $4. Oh, no, I'll pay $10. So now the bidding wars. And I try to explain that to people. And I try to point back to where it was and what you would have got then versus what it looks like now.
Right. So
that's how I navigate with the buyers. Sellers the same way.
Yeah.
Now, but it's a different conversation. You got to let them know, like, okay, look, guys. I know that such and such down the street, a couple years ago got a gazillion.
Right. We're not in that market.
You're going to take half a gazillion.
Yeah.
Okay? Are you cool with a half a gazillion? So now you got to have those conversations.
Yeah.
In regards to the investors, don't really have to talk much. They know what's going on.
Nice.
They know what's going on. They get it.
They're educated in the market.
Like, working with investors is the easiest thing that you're going to do in this game. I'm trying to tell you, they know what they want. There's the easy transactions.
Yeah.
Easy transactions. It's the traditional stuff that, you got to walk through hoops of fire on, in my opinion.
You taking your shoes off and walking the hot coals.
Yeah, hot coals. It's very seldom that traditional people, actually traditional real estate, whether it's home buyers or sellers, they're gonna get it. And again, why should they get it? This is our job for them.
This isn't their arena. Yeah.
Right. So, and I accept that, and that's fine. It's just some are harder than others.
Yeah. True. So, as someone who collaborates extensively with cash investors, what trends are you observing in their approach to this current market? Like, have they changed their approach? How do you see their activities influencing housing availability and affordability,
Um,
especially in communities of color, because that's where the deals usually are?
well, I think they're being strategic, and they're just trying to see. Nobody's trying to recreate the wheel. I know with my guys, we I focus more on just agents,
Yeah.
working more with agents. And I'm one to say and come to agents like, look, you have a seller, you have a situation, a probate situation, a divorce, whatever the case may be. This is what I want to do. I'm gonna introduce you to the seller. I'm sorry, to the buyer, which is the
Mm-hmm.
investor, and that's your deal.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we do a little referral or something, but you double in both sides and we keep it going. I'm gonna show you how easy this can possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I don't see that happening with a lot of people in California, but where I'm from, we kind of help each other,
Uh-huh.
kind of thing. So that's my way of kind of giving back in a sense. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, investors, it, that's one way of navigating the situation right now.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is as far as in black communities,
Yeah.
they're strategic. I think they know who to send over there to
Do
talk
you
to people.
so let's just be honest. I just want to pull it out, put it out there.
Yeah,
Do you think that they um will offer less in a black community than they will in a white community for the properties that they are trying to seek?
not my guys. No,
Okay.
no, because first of all, you can get in trouble for that.
But overall, do you think that that
I,
happens?
I,
You haven't had that
I,
experience.
definitely can happen because,
Okay.
and I don't necessarily believe it's black or white. I think that investors will go in and try to get in as best they can. What like is there's it could be an old whatever lady,
Okay.
and if they can get in and give her $2 instead of five, I think that they will.
Uh-huh.
I don't believe my guys do that. I've been working with them for years.
Right.
But when it comes to navigating the black community with my guys, they just they know flat out. Like I told them, like,
Yeah.
look, send me to all the black people. If
Right.
you guys want to get these deals, send me there because they're not gonna.
They're going to talk to me.
I'm relatable. Like
Yeah.
I know, and I'm not going to be relatable. I just
Yeah.
am because I've been through, or I know someone has been through to whatever they're going through,
Right.
whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
and they started. I mean, that's what we do
Mhm.
in a lot of situations, and it's a high. What's the rate we doing? What's the number you put money in, and what's your not turnover rate, but what's the I can't think of the term, but
Okay.
anyway, it works.
Okay.
I go to certain places and I don't go to other places. So
Mhm.
I'm like I don't necessarily want to go to Orange
Like
County.
you're not going to go to Pacific Palisades
I
and
don't
try
really
and talk to
I
them.
don't necessarily want to.
Yeah, you will,
I
but
will.
yeah.
Yeah, I will. I go give it a shot because I felt in the beginning that I wasn't getting ahead or I couldn't get this to go because I'm the black bald head guy.
Mhm.
And it just wasn't gonna work. Nobody was gonna talk to me. When it
Yeah.
really was, I kind of sucked. I wasn't really that good.
Yeah.
Now I don't
Now
believe
you have a more confidence
yeah, and I'm
because
super and I've never had a problem with confidence. But
yeah.
in this game and this being in a different state and this whole the different as far as uh ethnicities and things of that nature, yeah, it was a challenge for me. And
Mhm.
I was making excuses.
Yeah.
And then I got good, and
Yeah.
I don't have those excuses anymore. So I'll go talk to anybody. But if we really trying to get this deal, guys, I mean, come on, let's just be real here. No, I'm
Yeah.
not. I shouldn't go over there. You should go over there, and I
Yeah.
should go here.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's
Makes
just play
sense.
into what this world is right now.
Mhm. What the
So,
world has been.
well, what it has been, but
Yeah.
how it's so. Well, I guess it's always been right in your face, and I don't feel like it's so right in your face. It's right in your face now. I don't know. Is it more now? I guess it's more because it's social media out there now. You get to see everybody acting a fool. But
Mhm. So, let's wrap this up. So do you have or do you think of that there are any initiatives or anything that the investment community can do to help in communities of color, in some of our communities that have been redlined, because let's just be straight. A lot of these communities that we're talking about, that you're like, send the black guy, those are people who have owned those homes a lot of times for years. They're, generational homes that their families purchased, but they purchased them because this is the only place they could purchase a home. So these are already neighborhoods that are not as desirable because that's where they were redlined to. I mean, I have stories upon stories from just family members who were like, oh, a real estate agent was like, you can't buy here, but here, let me take you over to this neighborhood.
Wait. A real estate agent would say you can't. It was taking a buyer.
Back in the day, yeah.
Well, how? Well, it's not even that far back in the day.
Well,
but yeah. But
I'm talking about like 70s,
yeah,
80s.
Yeah, you can't.
They're buying homes, and it's like, oh, yeah, you can't buy over here in Woodland Hills, or you can't buy over here in Thousand Oaks, but here, I can take you to La Puente and put you in a home. I can take you to, Pomona and put you in a home, but yeah, you're not going to buy a home here.
Yeah, what's that called? That's called
gentrification. Not gentrification. It was redlining.
Well, redlining, but it's something in the laws of real estate laws you can't do. You can't steer. Yeah, that's
and they still steer people to this day. I mean, it happens.
I mean, people come into that move here from other states and cities. They ask me like, okay, where we at?
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm just answering the question. I didn't steer you. Like, I'm just, well, here, there, you go there.
Yeah.
It's kind of there, sprinkle here. I'll say that, but but
I mean, for me, I'm taking people where their money will take them.
Exactly.
So I'm just like, at the end of the day, this is what you're pre-approved for. This is where you work. These are the areas you said you want to live in. This is what you can afford in those areas. Right. That's pretty much how I work it. I do not work it any other kind of way, because there's no point in trying to take them to $1 million neighborhood when all they got pre-approved for was 600,000. What's the point? And of course, we all have clients who want to go see the $1 million home, and I'm just like, you go see that on your own time, because we're not going to qualify you. You don't qualify for that.
Right.
But do you feel like, because there's so much talk about investors just buying up all these properties and then turning them around and renting them out, do you see that some of them are really trying to revitalize these neighborhoods and not try to turn them into something that they're not?
So, well, again, my guys who I work with don't do that.
Yeah.
They, first of all, they don't rent homes out. Number one.
Right. You work with people who actually flip the houses.
They're bringing value to the community, and and I've been with them. Like, they take a lot of heat for what people think is going on, especially in Black communities. They think that, the white guys pulling up and that they're doing something negative when they're doing something extremely positive.
Yeah.
They're making
they're bringing value to the neighborhood,
because now this house is going to sell for, 100,000, whatever it is,
more than what
they
would
purchased
have.
it for.
Yeah.
That's bringing value to your home.
Yeah.
They don't see it that way. And again, that just goes with mindset and what we were taught growing up. And we were just, because of, again, back to this whole slavery thing, white people are bad.
Yeah.
They're bad, and they're coming to our neighborhood. They're coming to buy our houses, and then they're gonna make it bad for us. Well, no, they're not. They're bringing the value up.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of. I explain that a lot too.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
So, so my experiences aren't like that. I haven't dealt with the cutthroat investor who is coming in trying to.
And that's because you choose. And that's because you choose to work with people who have integrity.
Yeah.
And people who are not trying to jack up an area. They're truly there to revitalize an area and bring up people's property values, so to speak.
I tell people this is their job.
Yeah.
Like, this is their job. They don't put once they finish that renovation, that house goes on the market. They never know who the buyer is. They don't care. Sometimes they'll ask me in certain areas like, who was the buyer? But
they're not like, was it a Black guy who bought it? Was it a white guy who bought it? They don't care.
Because you kind of know in certain areas, especially in California, because everybody's kind of like in their area.
Right.
You kind of know.
Yeah.
And I take that back. I've never been asked who bought the house. I may have been asked what kind of people were showing up at the open houses, but I've never been asked who bought the house.
Who's buying the house? Care. Yeah, they don't care. Yeah,
it's green.
They just need to get their money out of it.
They're just selling the house. They buy the house, fix the house up, sell the house. Who buys it? Who cares?
And that's something that John Hope Bryant always talks about. Like, it's not red and blue, it's not black and white, it's green.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people miss that and they get caught up in the race war of everything instead of realizing that capitalism is what really drives and runs the world in this country.
Yeah.
And the more money you have to play with, the more voice you have in the game of whatever it may be that you're in.
Yeah. And I don't believe every and we're being real. I don't believe all white people are bad.
No, they're not.
Just like all black people. Like I'm not putting
There's good
everybody in
and
the box.
bad in
There's good and
everything.
bad in everything and everybody.
Yeah.
I just so happen to be working with some cool dudes
Yeah.
who actually really do care.
Absolutely.
For as much as they can care, they care.
Yeah.
Now it's certain
Their
levels to
job
where
is
they
to make
don't.
money.
Yeah.
They're making money and building wealth for themselves and their families.
Yeah,
so
there's some empathy there.
yeah.
And it's not just, shoot to kill. So
Yeah.
and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
That goes into the way that I was raised, and that's why it's been such a great fit me working with these guys.
Yeah. Because it's
So,
teaching you the game of investing even more than what you already were doing.
yeah.
So
Yeah. So
all right, well, we are done here. I appreciate you coming, being real, just breaking down to me how you work and what things mean to you when it comes to real estate and our community and your struggles and challenges, but also the wins, because you have a lot of wins out here. You are doing an amazing job. So I am grateful that you came and sat down with me and gave me a little bit of your time today.
my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching Black Voices in Real Estate. This has been episode 7. I hope you enjoy it.